So this is my website, Cindy's Couture Kitchen. And let's just learn a little language, because I think it goes a long way whenever you're making friends in foreign places. So if you want to just repeat after me, Ohayo gozaimasu.
Ohayo gozaimasu. Say it again, Cindy.
Gozaimasu. Ohio.
Ohio.
Like the state.
Mm-hmm.
Gozaimasu.
Gozaimasu.
That means good morning. Now
you don't do the su at the end?
It's not morning now, it's konnichiwa. It's good afternoon, right? So you would say konnichiwa.
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 Right. And then evening is konbanwa.
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 And then sayonara. Everybody knows sayonara, right?
Sayonara.
Sayonara.
Now this one is kind of a tongue twister, but it's pretty important. If you meet someone that's Japanese, it's really a nice way of breaking the ice. It's hajimemashite.
Hajimemashite.
Very good, Wes. I can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Is Michiko, she's not here, our Japanese?
No. No,
Okay.
not yet.
Well, you know, she would be the subject matter expert to make sure we're pronouncing these things right.
Exactly.
We'll keep on going through this. Hi is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Just like hi, but different. And ie is no.
Ie.
Very good. And sansei is moi, or me.
Teacher. Teacher.
Right. I'm sure you've heard that before, like if you've ever watched Karate Kid. Or
Karate Kid, exactly.
So just like in English, the Japanese have degrees of thanks, being thankful, like from the informal to the really, really appreciative. So domo is like thanks. Domo arigato is like thank you. And domo arigato gozaimasu is thank you very much.
Mm.
But you can just say arigato.
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 And then onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Very good, is please. And then if you have a question throughout this, feel free to ask, because if there's only, 3 people participating, go ahead and say sumimasen sansei, or excuse me. Or
right.
Actually, the best thing is just, if there's more people that come on as we go through this.
Okay, so there is a comment from Betty. She says she lived in Japan a long, long time ago, but she doesn't have a mic today, so she's using chat to participate.
Okay, so hopefully she can hear everything that we're saying. And
it sounds like she can.
Okay, good. All right, so that's a little bit about the language. So basically what we're going to do today is, we've already talked about the language. We're going to go a little bit more in depth about the culture, so that you probably, I don't know, Betty has been to Japan, but has anybody else
No.
had an immersion experience?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so hopefully you'll find this whets your appetite and makes you want to learn more and do more, involving your, further knowledge, further learning about Japan. Besides the culture, you're here for the cuisine, I suppose. And so that is the next part. We're going to talk about the cuisine of Japan, so you understand what goes into it, and they're thinking a little bit more about it. And then for the last 15-20 minutes, we're going to have a demonstration on how to make gyoza dumplings. So I'm going to show you how to make them, the ingredients and the process and all that. Then we're going to take a little 5-minute break for you guys to get set up. So when that demonstration that I do is going on, it's important that you guys are watching me versus prepping your things. because I'm going to show you as much as I can get my hands up here, how to do the folds and all of that kind of thing. So, and then you'll have some time after we take a little break at the 50-minute point to get a drink or whatever you want to do, ask questions. And then you'll have like 15 minutes to make your gyoza and practice wrapping them. And then I will come back and show you how to cook them, because there's different methods of cooking, and we're going to be focusing on one that is basically browning them. Okay, so any questions from anyone on that before we start?
No.
Okay, so I want to basically just start off with a few facts. But as far as, like I said, when I first went to Japan, even though I was familiar with a few things, there were so many things that were just so exciting and different. How many of you are familiar with some of the things on this slide? Like, point out some of the things that you see on there.
The sumo wrestlers, is that what they are?
Sumo. Sumo is their national sport. It's the sumo people, they're like rock star status in Japan.
Fuji?
Say again?
Oh, Mount Fuji?
Yes, Mount Fuji. That's not Mount Rainier, right, Debbie?
Right. Looks like it.
And the train, do you know what that train is called?
I don't see a train.
It's right below
At the
Mount
bottom,
Fuji.
right by the tree. On the bottom part of it.
Oh, my chat's covering it. No. Is it a Zephyr or something? Something fast?
Anybody know? It's called, you've heard the bullet train. You've heard of the bullet train, right? That's the bullet train. And when I went to Japan, I was really so excited to take the bullet train. I went to Tokyo and Kyoto, and I had two friends over there that I stayed with while I was in Japan, and we went to Kyoto and Nikko, and so I took the bullet train. It's amazing because it's been around since 1964, I believe, if you can imagine that. They have a ton of trains going, sometimes up to 6 per hour to different routes. So anything else? What's the lady on the left called?
A geisha, right?
A geisha.
Oh, geisha.
A geisha. Well, she could be what they call a maiko, which is a geisha in training. Geisha spend 5 years. It's like university. And I mean, they're the essence of perfection in Japan because their makeup, their hair, nothing is out of place. Their conduct, they study culture and they study music, dancing, art. They're a person of the arts. That's what a geisha is. And they're really fascinating. I happened to run into a few of them in Kyoto because that's where a lot of them operate out of, because that's the ancient capital city of Japan. And it's fascinating, the culture. They keep it alive, the ancient arts today. And down here you'll see a Shinto shrine, the Torai Gate. And anybody know what these wooden things are called and what they're for?
They're shoes, sandals, but I don't know what they are.
You know, another fun thing, when I was in Japan, everyone was, and this was in 1998, so, you know, the styles have changed, and I'm sure the Japanese influenced styles throughout the world in Asia, but everybody was wearing these platform boots, about this much of a platform, and they're short, and so, you know, the boots were huge platforms I'd never seen, and then the heel was like that.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Was
But
that for rice paddies, like walking in the rice paddies?
no, these are what the geisha would wear
Oh.
to keep their kimonos from dragging in the mud, because those kimonos are very expensive, and each geisha has at least 10, and they're like anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 each. So yeah, they're expensive. So Japan is the land of the rising sun. It's a long, slinky archipelago of islands. And its neighbors are China, Russia, North and South Korea. And as far as islands, you can see that there's 4 major land masses. And the largest one is called Honshu. And that is where Tokyo and Kyoto are. And that is where most of Japan's population live. But again, there's over 3,000 islands. Japan's a dangerous place to live because of the islands are mountainous. Most are volcanic, or well, like 60% are volcanic, including Mount Fuji. And yeah, they have typhoons, they have earthquakes, because they're where 3 tectonic plates join together. So it's kind of a dangerous place. I'm sure you all remember when they had the tsunami that ruined that nuclear power plant and the aircraft carrier, I can't remember if it's the Eisenhower or what, but anyways, we provided aid to them.
Right.
So, and Tokyo is the largest, I don't know if you realize this, but Tokyo is the largest metropolitan area in the world. Yeah, that's way larger than New York. And Seoul is next in line as far as the next largest city in the world. But of all the people in Japan, guess what? 98% are Japanese, and only a little over 1% are other things, you know, non-Japanese. So they're very, very homogenous culture. And because of that, they hold tight and hold fast to traditions. They have a constitutional monarchy, which they're the only country where they have a ruling emperor. And that's Naruhito. Naruhito is his name. His dad was Akihito, and he took over from him. So it's kind of like England in a way. They have a parliament, and they are, again, after World War II, they were devastated. So they were doing what we're doing self-imposed isolation a little over 150 years ago. So they've come a long ways to come back to where they are now, being the second largest economy in the world. And they have a very strong emphasis on education. So as you can imagine, their literacy rate is 99%. And I think their background with Shinto, Confucianism, Buddhism, Taoism, all of those have a lot to do with the values of harmony and their values of hard work and basically perfection in everything they do. They also have a deep devotion to nature and feel like everything is connected to spirits, like the spirit world. Shinto religion is kind of interesting in that Japanese are said to be born Shinto and die Buddhist. So there's a kind of a blurring of the lines of religion. You can be both at the same time kind of thing versus one or the other. These are some of the other contrasts between the Japanese culture and the American culture. Filial piety means that you take care of your parents. They are more important than your children, your parents. So it's important to give honor to your parents, elders, bosses, that kind of thing. So here, individualism is more important, whereas the group is more important in Japan. And because they have such a large population, and that's along a very minimal stretch of land, because again, it's mountainous and most people live along the coastal areas, they have to learn to get along together very well. So most Japanese are non-confrontational. They don't like to lose their temper or lose control of their feelings or raise their voices. There's a lot of courtesy and respect. So it's hard to get a Japanese person to outwardly disagree with you. So that's the concept of saving face. You probably heard of that before, saving face.
Mhm.
And then here, you know, tradition certainly doesn't have anything like it does in Japan as far as with the American people. Some cultures are more traditional, but, you know, it's not, we don't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of tradition like they do in Japan. So these are some of the icons that I'm sure you're familiar with. I think Hello Kitty was even in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade last year. So again, from 150 years ago till now, Japan has definitely entered the world stage and had an impact on a lot of our pop culture. Anybody know what the guy in the bottom left is doing?
Is that one of those airport hotels?
They're not just airport, they're all over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know what they're called?
No.
They're called Capsule Hotels. So it's just this little, like, as you can see, it's like maybe 3 feet wide at the most. And it's got a TV in there. He's looking at the TV. He's fooling around with the dials on the sound or air conditioning or something like that. And then you just pull down the shades and go to bed if you can't make it home that night.
Wow.
A lot of people would rather stay in a capsule hotel if they're out late versus taking a cab or taxi somewhere, because it's a lot cheaper to stay in the capsule hotels.
That makes sense.
And I remember when I was visiting my friend at Yokosuka, not Yokosuka, but the Air Force Base over there in Kadena. No, I'm not good. There's so many. There's I was over Yokota, and we were going to the train, and we walked by a bunch of these vending machines, and they sell everything from like 30 different flavors of juices that you never even conceived of, like white grape and plum and all these different flavors. And they also have, I mean, they sell everything from books to hot food. You know, if you're in a hurry, and you know, the Japanese, they're kind of crazy as far as working. So they kind of eat dinner out, they can eat dinner out of these vending machines. You can get all kinds of things, bananas, all kinds of things. And these things make a lot of money per year. And the other funny thing that was just fascinating is their toilets. I love their high-tech toilets.
Is it a bidet combined?
It does everything.
Okay.
Let's just say it does everything. I mean, it makes noise or plays music or whatever.
Wow.
Heated seats, all kinds of things. I mean, they go from the Cadillac version to the hole in the ground kind of thing. So, and that tells you how not to use the Japanese style toilet.
Yeah. I would probably get my pants wet.
Yeah, so don't sit on that thing. That's not how you do it. Anyway, this is a ryokan, and I stayed at a ryokan when I was in Japan, which is a Japanese inn, and it was another fascinating experience. The floors are tatami. They have like that little area. You don't mess with it, or you don't put your suitcase there. That is like for meditation and contemplation kind of thing.
Is it a shrine then?
I think they can use it like that. I can't remember the word for it. Too bad Machiko isn't here, but yeah, she could explain this more. This is the bath area where you take a bath. However, the wooden structure is not to, you know, wash yourself in. It's to soak in. The shower on the left is to wash yourself before you get in the bath. And you can see the soap and all of that. So the Japanese wash themselves before they get in the bathtub. And then they use the bathtub to soak. And then, of course, the Japanese gardens, you've probably all been to one. It's a high art as well. And again, the aesthetics that go into creating that are really, they go back a long time ago, and they're based in the religion, Shintoism, Taoism, and Buddhism, to create different styles of gardens. This is, again, the ryokan, the Japanese inn. So the bedding, the futons, are kept in a closet, stored away during the day so you can use the room, and at night they're rolled out. And then for breakfast, or when you go out to a Japanese restaurant, a lot of times you sit on the floor like this guy is doing on a pillow. And his has a back, which is nice. But most of the Japanese chairs, they don't have legs. I mean, certain new modern apartments can, but a lot of times they don't. And Japanese breakfast is usually rice, miso soup, grilled meat or fish, and an egg, and sometimes pickles. And so their diet is a lot different. And again, since they're an island nation, they're surrounded by water, right? So very little dairy or meat compared to fish. And rice, like I said, is an important part of every single meal. And they emphasize, again, the presentation. It's all the aesthetic as well as the quality and the taste. Everything has to be fresh, seasonal. And so they emphasize the 4 seasons and the 5 tastes. The 4 seasons have, specific colors to autumn, winter, spring, and fall. And the 5 tastes, who knows what they are?
Umami is one of them. That's savory.
Very good. Umami is one. What are some other tastes? What are the other 4?
Sweet and sour?
Sweet, sour, salty, and hot. So they incorporate that into their thought process when they create their food. And bento, I'm sure you've heard of a bento box. How many have had a bento, lunch or dinner? They're super fun, really fun. And
That looks so cute.
I know. The new trend is called character bento, and Japanese housewives spend a lot of time putting these bento lunches together for their spouses or children and themselves. And again, they emphasize all the colors, the seasonality, the freshness of what's in season. And they are highly nutritious. And like I said, because they contain very little fat or dairy and all of the other things that we like so much, they live longer than any other people in the world, for the most part. So one of the most popular dishes in Japan came actually from China, and that is what we're going to learn today. Gyoza. And it actually came from, it was called jiaozi in China. And during that Sino-Japanese War, when the Japanese invaded Manchuria because they were running out of natural resources, they invaded China. And during that time, that's where they spent a lot of time with their Chinese counterparts and learned this dumpling, which they have adopted and now call it gyoza. So there's different cooking techniques that you can see in this picture. You can steam it or boil it, which is also known as, dumplings that are just in the soup that you have, wonton soup, for example. That you could do the same thing basically with a dumpling and make it a wonton. Another method is the deep fried gyoza, age gyoza. And then the method that we're gonna do is the yaki gyoza, or browned gyoza. And you can see it in the back there. It's called hanetsuki, or winged gyoza, because it has little wings and it makes a little curl when you do the folds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block out my video for a second, and I'm going to turn around and get into the kitchen. Okay, so I'll be right back. If I can figure out how.